Thank you for joining me for the very first episode of Enchanted Astrology Podcast. I'm your host, Ariel Smith, and I'd like to start with describing the brand of astrology that I will be sharing with you on this podcast. Most of us have become aware by now that the world is not quite as it seems, that we have been operating under the illusion of the 3D material worlds. I like to call it the enchantment because when someone is under an enchantment, for good or bad, you aren't able to see clearly. You are not fully aware of yourself and not aware of your best interests. So many of us have been on the path of ascension, awakening to our true self and to our higher potential. But this doesn't all happen at once in one day. At least not for most of us. It's a process. You break through the veil enough to understand that you are under an enchantment, but still getting sucked back into the workings of the 3D material world as we've known it so far. And you can break through the veil again and then get pulled back into the 3D, and it's this process. And astrology is such a beautiful tool to help guide and support us during this process. I personally use astrology in service to our awakening by following the wisdom of each sign and how they support our ascension back to our true selves. So if you are curious about astrology and you're navigating your own awakening in whatever form it's taking, I hope that what I share here feels supportive. I hope it reminds you that you are not alone, that you're guided, and that you are absolutely on the right path, even if your outer world hasn't fully caught up yet. Okay, so let's get into the astrological energy for the week of December 10th to December 16th. We are in Sagittarius season. And we have some big Sag energy with the Sun, Mars, and Venus starting off in Sagittarius, December 10th. This is bringing a lot of focus to our belief system. What we logically believe to be true, what and who shows up in our lives based on this belief system, and how our relationships are affected, and also where our energy is being expended. So if you have a belief, for example, that you are not supported, who or what is showing up to validate that and mirror that belief back to you? And what does that do to your energy? Is it causing anger or frustration in any way? Maybe you were told that you couldn't do something that brought you joy, or that you shouldn't follow your dreams, or that you need to be realistic, and you adopted that belief. And it's causing chaos in your experience because it is not your truth. This is the lower expression of Sagittarius, the dogmas, the bureaucracy, following what you're told, being told what to believe. And this parade of planets here are saying no more. There has been enough external beliefs put on me that, you know what, don't even resonate. They don't feel good. They aren't my truth. So the blessing here is using this week as a feedback loop. What is showing up and what belief is funding it? Where is my energy going? Is it leaking into anger or frustration? Or am I funding passion and exploration with it? We also start the week with Mercury at 28 degrees of Scorpio, opposing Uranus retrograde in Taurus. This is our perception from a place of fear. Scorpio is about the truth, and the ultimate truth is love. If it is not loving, then it is not true. So it knows that fear is not seeing the truth, or the truth is being masked by shadow. So Mercury here is receiving and perceiving through this fear, which, let's be honest, is the lens that we grow up learning to see through, right? Those fear glasses. Oh my goodness, what if this goes wrong? What if I fail? What if the worst happens? How do I secure my safety through being afraid and taking action from that fear? I need to think my way out of this problem. There is so much fear that has been overriding our intuition. And with the Taurus Scorpio axis, the material world becomes a reflection of what we are rejecting or not seeing clearly because it's distorted by fear and shadow. My theory is that the more cluttered your outside world is, the more disconnected you are from your true self. We now are aware of ancient civilizations that have performed great, amazing feats like building the megaliths and the monoliths while leaving very little trace of their existence behind. And my theory is the more connected you are to your divine source, to your sovereignty, the less you need to outsource this in the material world. And we see the alarming rate of garbage that disgusts us all, let's be honest, because we have been very disconnected from our divine self. And we've been outsourcing our power to the external world, and it becomes so incredibly cluttered. This is the Taurus Scorpio axis here, reflecting the inner state in the outer world. So with Mercury here opposing Uranus and Taurus, there is a reflection going on. Uranus is the path of least resistance. And so far, we have carved this path out by our belief that the only way to survive in this life is to do what you're told, go to school, get a loan, get student loans, go into debt in order to get the job, preferably the highest paying one available. It doesn't really matter if you like it or not, so that you can pay off your loans and support yourself and your family that way. We haven't even considered much in the way of alternative options. It's pretty much just that, or, win the lottery and stay in fear that if you don't do this, you will likely struggle. So take it very extremely seriously and be afraid. And our resistance to believing in other paths has made this seem like the path of least resistance. But Uranus doesn't operate on this timeline. He's outside of time, outside of those limitations. He just takes the most direct route. If that's winning the lottery, if that's inheriting, Santa Claus brings it, whatever, he is showing us here in retrograde that there are actually an infinite amount of alternative ways that we can receive in the material world, that we can create our material world experience. But with Mercury opposing him, there is an integration here of releasing the fear-based lens, removing the fear glasses, taking them off, and opening up to a more of our multidimensional experience as multidimensional beings. And the planets in Sagittarius are so deeply supportive of this by gently encouraging us to look into these beliefs and find what truly feels supportive of our highest potential. Then on December 12th, we have Mercury moving into Sagittarius to join the other planets, where our perception changes from being inside the fear to this expansive, hopeful energy where the sky is the limit. Actually, there is no limit. So we have these 4 planets, the Sun, Mars, Venus, and Mercury, all in Sagittarius, supporting our awareness of what beliefs are driving us and creating our experience. Everything is a feedback loop that we can use to navigate this time. So pay attention to what is showing up and ask, what belief is funding this? Is it something that resonates with you, or is it just some belief that you picked up because, your parents gave it to you, or social media gave it to you, or, whatever system in society gave it to you? And maybe there's not even a belief that you can identify, but you gain the experience of not reacting to whatever showed up the way that it used to maybe trigger you. It doesn't affect you as much. You aren't investing time or energy even worrying about it. And that is a beautiful validation that you are withdrawing your investments in beliefs that don't serve you. And that feels incredibly freeing, light, and exciting. Just as a side example, a very dear client of mine is experiencing some challenges with her son. And the amount of love that she has for him and the strength to just encourage to do the right thing, and the right thing for him is just so commendable. But she has a belief system that was given to her through, passed down generations, through our society, through external forces, giving her this belief that, well, there must be something wrong with your son because of, his preferences or his beliefs or the way he's acting or whatever it is. There's something wrong with him. And so that's a belief that's funding her experience with him. And there's a belief that she's not supported. And there's a belief that she's not doing a good enough job. And these beliefs are very real in our experience. They feel very heavy and very real, but they are not our beliefs. They are not the truth. And we are learning now to withdraw our investment into those belief systems. And it's amazing how profound of an impact that has to just withdraw a belief from something and see what comes next. We are often caught in this trap of thinking we have to do to fix, but simply just withdrawing your investment into a belief, choosing not to believe into something is such a powerful choice to change everything that happens after without you having to control the outcome. So the Sagittarius energy this week is, let's identify what is holding us back and remove it, remove the obstacle, and see what happens. So on December 15th, or very late December 14th, depending on your time zone, Mars enters Capricorn. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So Mars here is focused and self-sourced. The beliefs have been audited. What was causing anger or frustration, what has been holding us back, has been identified, and Mars here is now ready to move ahead with building in service to what serves him. He is not burdened by the fear, shame, guilt, or the shoulds of others, and he is refreshed and centered in his sovereign direction. This is my direction. I'm going to do this. I have the energy for it, and I am not getting sidetracked into all the noise of the scarcity scaries out there. I don't believe them. I know what's best and what I want to do, and my will is in alignment with my higher self. I know I am worthy. I am a divine being. I am holy, and so are others. I create from a place of wholeness and not from a place of scarcity. Now this Mars is squaring Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. So this can bring in some awkward energies because the structures we have in place currently, the scarcity structures, right, are still dissolving. The illusion about who we are is still dissolving. And so you might move ahead with this exalted Mars, and it can feel somewhat awkward because it feels like the world hasn't quite matched or reflected this yet, but that's okay. Mars is just ahead of the curve here, as usual, right? He's ready to go long before everyone else has caught up. So I feel this as that tension of wanting the world to just get on with it already. It's like the person who is talking very slowly and Mars already knows what they are going to say, but they have to wait for them to finish their speech first. It reminds me of I don't know if anybody knows like the Dark Crystal, or if you're fans of the Dark Crystal. I am. But it reminds me of those two mystics in the tower where one talks really, 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 really slowly, and the other one is so impatient and he's constantly interrupting him and finishing his sentences because he just wants him to get it out already. That's kind of what this reminds me of. But side note, anyways, Mars also forms an in conjunction with Uranus retrograde in Taurus here. And this is deep recalibration. So you notice that the material experience you have set up is built not on honoring your sovereignty. Actually, it's been funded by fear, by the shoulds of everyone else, the expectations of whatever external parties. So there is this realization that this doesn't work for me anymore. All of these things I've invested in, they aren't in alignment with this new truth and this new direction I'm going. So there is a deep recalibration that needs to happen here, where you are letting go of the rigid expectations of your life. You're opening to more possibilities, to be surprised even, to try something different. And it can feel a bit unfamiliar, but it is ultimately for your highest good. And because this Uranus retrograde in Taurus is in trine with Pluto in Aquarius, and also a sextile with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, this is so supportive of systems dissolving, illusions about who we are, false truths dissolving, and deeply recalibrating the way we understand the material world, what shows up in the material world, how we associate with the material world, all changing, dissolving, recalibrating in support of our deep transformation with that Pluto in Aquarius, for our higher transformation. And with the node position that we have with the South node in Virgo and the North node in Pisces, I feel this is very much asking us to heal our perceptions, heal the way we've been taught to think about the world and about who we are and how we perceive things, and cleanse our perceptions in service to the ultimate truth, so we can eventually see and come to know the ultimate truth, which is love, which is unity, which are Piscean themes in the North Node. And that's where we get the ultimate truth is love. And if it's not love, it's ultimately not true, and it's a false perception. So that is the energy forecast, the astrology forecast for this week. I would just say stay patient in trials and don't lose faith and don't lose hope. You are unconditionally loved and supported. So thank you for stepping into this space with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, I hope you'll come back next week to continue exploring astrology as a tool for awakening. Until then, be gentle with yourself, and trust your own guidance. You are exactly where you need to be.